How's it going, everyone? Got some PlayStation updates to take you guys through. Phantom Blade Zero has gotten a brand new trailer, and man, does this game look awesome. We're getting some more actual in-game footage, and I think it's shaping up to be one of my more anticipated games upcoming, especially now that, it's looking like this game will actually come out. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, no development hell, and we've seen games like Black Myth Wukong come out, Stellar Blade come out, games that, sometimes I looked at them and were like, this game looks a little bit too good to be true. Phantom Blade Zero had a little bit of that when it was revealed back in 2023. Now I'm getting sold on it, and we still don't have a release date. Would I love to see it in 2025? Absolutely. I think it's going to end up being a 2026 game, but we'll talk about that. And, of course, big news coming out of yesterday, and I'm sure we can all take this and not lose our minds over it, but Dragon Age the Veilguard was a commercial failure. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and I'm sure there's a lot of people wanting to take it in a lot of different ways. I had said, it was very obvious going into the release of this game for a wide variety of reasons that this game was going to be a commercial disaster, but we'll talk that at the end of this video. Alright, right off the bat, Phantom Blade Zero, Year of the Snake gameplay trailer. Holy hell, as an action game that is, thank the high heavens, not a Souls-like. Not every game needs to be a Souls-like. It's just a straight action title, action RPG. Man, this game looks awesome. This game is exactly the stylish action game that I need more of in my life. Like, games like this, games like Dynasty Warriors Origins as well, not in the sense that those games are similar. They're similar in the sense that it looks like, and I can only tell by Phantom Blade Zero based on the footage we've seen with Dynasty Warriors Origins, I can say it for a fact, but a game that makes you feel like a badass. It doesn't need to be the most difficult game on God's green earth. It can be a stylish action game with a variety of difficulty options. I'm not trying to lose my mind, break my controller in half, but no, a game that's visceral, stylish, makes you, again, feel like a badass. That's what Phantom Blade Zero, to me, really has. And seeing the game in action, man, it looks tremendous. Visually looks great. They did say it's going to utilize the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it will be having a PC release. It's interesting because this game is being developed by S-Game. It's being self-published by S-Game as well. There's rumors that they got more of a budget attached to this game, and that may have been because of Black Myth Wukong's success. I don't know the validity of that. That's just a rumor that's been going around, but the game is being self-published, and it's a PlayStation 5 console exclusive. Now, it's also coming out on PC, and I think not releasing this game on PC, if you're self-published, like, why wouldn't you? I'm curious on why the game isn't coming to Xbox. I'd have to think, again, they never say it, and with Black Myth Wukong, we didn't get this information for months and months after release, but the Series S, I do think, is something to consider, and this game, as technically impressive as it is, yeah, I don't know if that's the reason, but I am curious as to why this game isn't on Xbox, but it is what it is. I don't think Sony has a hand in funding the game. Again, it's a self-published title by S-Game, and PlayStation 5 and PC day one, but looks stylish as all hell, and based on the buzz, as long as they execute with the rest of the game, I see this game doing incredibly well from a commercial standpoint. It looks like the buzz is really starting to hype up. When the game got revealed in 2023, it was annoying because at that point, remember where we were at. PlayStation was getting no game reveals, no major game reveals in the sense of first-party titles, exclusives, etc., and then it just felt like, okay, you're revealing this game at this showcase that was supposed to set up the next year of games, and it was just obvious this game was going to be 2 years or more out, and it is going to be more than 2 years out. It's not coming out by June of this year. It's probably going to be a 2026 game, best case scenario, end of this year, but I think more likely for 2026. They did say release date information to come, so I could see this come out by fall. I wouldn't be too surprised if it gets an update at, let's say, the Summer Game Fest and we get the release date announcement then. That would be great, and it is interesting because if Phantom Blade Zero is a case of PlayStation just getting handed another free console exclusive, just like they did with Black Myth Wukong, where they didn't have to actually sign any sort of exclusivity deal, man, Microsoft, y'all are fumbling so hard when you're losing out on big games like this, where Sony ain't even trying to get the exclusivity. It's just for whatever reason it's not coming out on Xbox. you know, we can speculate as to why that reason is, but we'll see how that turns out. Again, they say the release date will be announced in 2025. Given that the verbiage they're using, the announced release date is gonna be in 2025, that makes me think like 2026 is when the game is gonna be coming out. But I think it looks great and can't wait for it. I think that is gonna be one that does very, very well. All right, moving on from that. EA stock drops, Dragon Age Veilguard, along with EAFC 25. Let's be fair, EAFC 25 didn't do great either, but Dragon Age Veilguard is the one that everybody is assessing. The game has missed its target by 50%. Now, what they are saying is that the game has had approximately 1.5 million players, which is 50% lower than the publisher's expectations. The verbiage used, 1.5 million players. Does that include people that bought the game on Steam and ultimately refunded the game? I don't know. I would imagine it does, and I would imagine it includes the people that played the game via EA Play, the EA Access program. But 1.5 million players, however many sales, it's 50% lower than the publisher's expectations, and they expected the game to be far bigger. I am not too surprised by this. I think anybody that was following the data, and look, I know what people react with in the comments section. I see it all the time, and people just hurl insults at people that have criticisms and push back on a game like Dragon Age the Veilguard. Look, you can view anyone however you want. You want to call them an incel, you want to call them losers, that's your prerogative. You can call me a loser, you can call me an incel, I don't care. I've been called in the comment section that I lean this way politically, I lean that way politically. I'm just trying to be real with you guys. When you guys, and it's not all of you guys, when you guys sling insults at people and just being like, oh, you're just an incel, oh, you're just a loser, that's why you won't play the game and that's why you're criticizing the game, whatever, that's your opinion and you're entitled to view anyone however you want. Realize that those people criticizing the game, they are potential customers. They are potential people to buy the game. That's what people don't get with Intergalactic as well. And there is absolutely a world where some games, it's a vocal minority. I truly believe the discourse around Witcher 4 and that game getting a crazy pushback, right now, I do feel like that's a vocal minority. I think if things go out as the way they are, Ciri's the main character, etc., that game's gonna do fine. Dragon Age the Veilguard, anyone with a functioning brain cell could tell you that that game was not a vocal minority. It just was not. Intergalactic, you look at that game's like to dislike ratio, and it don't matter. I'm sorry to tell you, it don't matter how you feel about these people. They are, once again, potential buyers. This is a business at the end of the day. Have your feelings, get in your feelings, whatever, I don't care. The reality is that there are potential buyers that are being turned off from the game. That is not up for debate. Whatever reason you want to throw out for it, it don't matter. The reality is the potential buyers are being pushed away. Now again, you have to assess when something's a vocal minority and when something isn't a vocal minority. There's a lot of instances where people will throw a fit on social media and it's a vocal minority, it's a louder vocal minority, and I feel like right now, Witcher 4 is exactly that. If you want to compare it to like Intergalactic, I don't feel like Intergalactic is that, and that's where you have to use a brain cell or two and realize when things are a vocal minority and when they're not. Dragon Age the Veilguard, I always thought it wasn't a vocal minority, and people want to look at things like Steam data, and it was the top seller on Steam, concurrent player counts, etc., etc. Whenever it comes, look, we live in a world where so much data is at the table and we can look at data, but you have to contextualize data. You have to understand data. Dragon Age the Veilguard was peaking at like 83, 88,000 concurrent players. Fairly good number, fairly good number. However, Dragon Age is a franchise with a storied history attached to it. It's a game with a big budget attached to it, and you have to compare it to a game where, you know, there are some comparison points to be made, and I would look at something like Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2 was a follow-up title to an RPG that was, you know, had a fan base, and Dragon's Dogma 2 peaked at over like 200,000 concurrent players. Again, it's not a perfect one-to-one comparison. Dogma 2 was also an atrocious PC version, and it was $70 versus $60, and what's interesting is that Veilguard was a game that released without EA account linking being necessary, and it had no DRM, etc., etc., so they were doing a lot to give this game a little bit of an advantage relative to some other EA titles like a Jedi Survivor, and it was a good PC version. Like, Veilguard was a good PC version. In my opinion, the game itself, if you assess it from a game standpoint, I actually did enjoy the combat. I thought the combat was fairly well done. Like, to me, it was a bit monotonous, but I thought it was, like, fairly stylish, and it was some fun. The writing was atrocious, the story was pretty bad, and when it comes to Dragon Age, that's a big component of the game, but it's obvious that there are these games out there that are turning a significant amount of potential buyers, and you could be like, who cares about those people? I'll tell you who cares about those people. The executives greenlighting these games and looking for sales numbers. That's who cares about these, that's who cares about those people buying these games, and you're already pushing them away. View them however you want. They are potential buyers. And I'm never gonna win you guys over from having your opinions on certain people versus other people, but they're potential buyers all the same. You can view them however you want, but turning away potential buyers, I don't know how that's a good thing. But yeah, Veilguard's gonna be one of those games that I think this could be the end of Dragon Age as a franchise. And Mass Effect, we'll see how that ultimately turns out, because that's gonna be a ways away from releasing. But Mass Effect as an IP, I still think that's got an incredible amount of cachet to it. And we know that that game is still 5, 6, 7 years away from release. I don't care how many, like, concept arts they release for N7 Day or whatever. Like, that game ain't coming out for a very long time. Hopefully they get it right with that. But as far as BioWare is concerned, like, BioWare, their perception is absolutely cooked. They don't have the goodwill that they once had. But Mass Effect as an IP, I don't think they've destroyed it. Mass Effect still has a lot of cachet. Mass Effect Andromeda, sure, wasn't great, but that was how many years ago, and the trilogy is still revered as one of the greatest video game trilogies of all time. It's not like they've obliterated the Mass Effect IP, and if they circle back, do a great game with that. I do think people will be interested in that, but we'll see how that turns out. Again, I'm the one that's saying let's not get too heated about it, and I do get a little bit heated about it, because to me, this stuff is obvious, and I just see a lot of people being like, oh my god, it's just losers. These people are incel losers. You can view them however they want. They got money all the same to spend on video games, and they're not buying certain video games. That's the reality of the situation, so whether or not you want to accept it, that's your prerogative, but that'll do it for me. Again, we wanted to start off this video with the great news. Phantom Blade Zero, I think, looks incredible, and I'll tell you what, if they execute on that game, I see that game being a commercial slam dunk. That's what people want out of their video games. I truly believe that is a game that will resonate. I mean, it could be a disaster, it could be a horrible PC version, etc., etc., but what I'm seeing, you execute that within the entirety of the game, that game's gonna be a commercial home run. Dragon Age Veilguard, I mean, it was obvious going into the release of the game. It's just, it is what it is as far as that's concerned. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.